I have some of our more senior team from Hope Church in George on stage with me. And I'll just briefly introduce you to them so you know who they all are. Agnesia is in the green, and she is our kids' church pastor, and she's been with us right from the start. We're celebrating 10 years of Hope Church in George this month. And very strategically, we were looking for a kids' church pastor as the first person we appointed. And she was our son's grade 1 teacher. And she was so lovely. We're like, well, don't you just want to, since she's doing such a good job with our son, don't you want to come be a pastor at our church? And 10 years later, she's absolutely killing it. And then Saraya has worked with us now, is it 7 years? Yeah. Right. 7 years, and she's our small groups office administrator. We'll explain what that all looks like. And then we have Dion Plaatjes.
Morning.
And he's our young people pastor as well as our worship pastor. And Natasha Kitching, she's our husband is so excited now. Her husband did the balloon drop last night, and that went very well. Well done, Mornay. Well done. And she's our executive pastor. I just want to give a shout out to Andre Heinz, who's also part of our staff team. He took responsibility for all the artwork and all the multimedia at conference. Well done. You did an excellent job. So I'm just going to ask him some questions, and we believe that all of us will learn something today that we can possibly implement at our churches, maybe not right now, but maybe in a year's time or 2 years' time, or so many of you already are doing lots of these things. But Agnesia,
yes.
What is your role as our kids' church pastor?
Hello, everyone. My role is to be a culture protector. I think it's all of our roles. That's my first and most important.
Do you want to say that again? A
culture protector. Yeah, so what it means is our culture empowers the vision of our church. I make sure our team and volunteers at Kids Church stay in line with our vision and our values. And I love that saying, we need to lead by example. So I need to carry it, and the team will follow.
Brilliant. So her number one role is to be a culture protector, to make sure everyone serving at our kids' church carries our values. Yeah. That means they make sure things are done with excellence. We treat every person as valuable. It's very
Teamwork.
Good. Teamwork. One of our values is team. Thank you.
Can I add some more things?
You can add some more.
I've got a whole list here. Also, I need to remind people we are definitely raising up the next generation. I think we know it, we can see it in Kids Church, but a lot of people and even parents think we're just a babysitting club, and we are far from it. So we always need to know Kids Church is so important. We are raising up the best leaders that the world are ever going to see, and we have to make sure we are setting the right foundation for that. So it's a good reminder for people.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant to see the young kids starting to volunteer from as soon as they can, and then the older kids start to volunteer and leading small groups for the younger kids. So we absolutely love. We say small groups are the heart of our church. So Saraya, you are small groups office administrator, and we've seen quite a bit of success in our small groups ministry. It's growing, it feels healthy. What are some of the things we are doing that you feel we should keep doing to ensure consistent growth?
Hello everyone, such a great question, Marinette. I think as a church, we've just started being intentional about two things. And the first one that you just mentioned is we've made small groups the heart of our church. And I can really say that this became more than just a statement at our church. It became part of the culture of who we are as a church. And so I think it started with our senior pastors, you, Marinette, and Paul. So really, I don't think this would have been possible if you, as the senior leaders of our church, didn't have a heartbeat for it first. And so really want to honor you, want to give a shout out to you as our leaders for setting the tone and just for modeling so well to us what it truly means to be sold out for community. And so really just an inside scope, our leaders are so incredible. And so what they started doing is they started champion small groups from their side, started leading small groups, started being intentional about being in small groups every week. And right at the beginning of this year, they've already multiplied their small groups in 2 ways. And so just really showing to us how to do life in community well. And so what we do during our Sunday services, are we creating space in our services, to communicate incredible stories of how people's lives were truly transformed through community. And we are sure to just celebrate small groups well. Every time we've got a big launch Sunday where we launch small groups, and we have a special sign-up station where people can sign up for small groups. And it's just so great to see how people, are raising their hands and saying, sign me up, I want to be part of community. And the second to that is we've got a value of team. And so what I love about this value of team is we get to together work on a common purpose, and it really brings glory to God, and no one can take the honor. And so what we do during the week is, as a small groups office administrator, I get to work alongside our incredible small group coordinators, and every week we just make it a priority to meet, to continue to discuss vision for our small groups, and to brainstorm how our small groups ministry can move forward.
Absolutely brilliant. And Paul, my husband's actually, are you in 4 small groups at the moment? He leads small groups, he's in small groups. He's really absolutely championing small groups. Pastor Greg Thomas from CFC is going to do an incredible breakaway session on small groups. We're definitely going to go to that one, Soraya.
I'm so excited.
Because we know you're doing so well as small groups, so thank you so much for saying yes. We're super excited about that. On Sunday, Pastor Nate Puccini, here from Substance Church, preached at Hope Church, and you said something that just came to my mind now. You said the number one predictor of an individual person's spiritual growth is the amount of Christian friends they have at any time. So now, we are all about growth, at Imagine Church, which is just incredible. You see grow everywhere. It's clearly a theme to grow. And people grow when they have Christian friends. And that's what small groups are all about. It's about being in Christian community. Soraya, why would you say small groups are so important?
Very great question, Marinette. I think it's really important because it's biblical. I think right from the start, Jesus modeled to us, what is an effective tool to discipleship is community. And so I'm also reminded of a statement our senior pastor Paul once mentioned, and he said, as a church, we want to grow big and we want to grow small at the same time. And I love that small groups create a space where we can grow. Yes, on Sundays we learn in rows, and then during the week in small groups, that's where people get to grow in circles. Yes. So I think that's so crucial that our churches have small groups, because it's really an effective tool for true life transformation. I mean, if I can just share, I still do lead a small group now currently, but I remember one of my earliest small groups I led. There was this girl that came week in, week out to small group, but she was very consistent, but very shy, reserved, always behind the scenes. But I really felt in my heart there's an incredible gift of leadership in her life. And so this was for me an opportunity to speak life into her, to call greatness out of her. And I see over time she started believing, that there is greatness in her, and she can actually lead others well. And so I really started seeing how her life transformed through community. So small groups are really, really important because, number one, it creates spaces for life transformation. And then I think second to it, and in our church, it's really a great tool for pastoral care. And what we do as a church is immediately when we hear someone's not well, someone needs support, someone needs to be cared for.
They're in hospital.
They're in hospital, especially through COVID. What we've done is the very first question we ask is whose small group are they in? And it's so great that we can then go to that small group leader, we can inform the small group leader that, hey, this person needs support, and then this is how we really actually care well for the people in our church, because really small groups is all about shepherding God's people well.
That is brilliant, and that takes a lot of pressure off us as the pastors and the leaders of the church, knowing we're equipping the saints to do the work and care for people. And there's no better way to raise up leaders than through small groups. Just like Saraya just said, people can come in reserved and shy, but we call out greatness in them, and they start leading their own group. It's an incredible journey to watch. I love your t-shirts. You're all wearing the same t-shirts.
Thanks.
Was that
Better together.
intentional? I think they want you to go buy a Better Together t-shirt. I like how Pastor Dino wears ARC all the time. So Paul, from now on, that's just, you have to wear ARC at all the meetings. There we go. I want to give a big compliment to all of us here. So this is the first time that Pastor Dino and Dylan Rizzo, they're the global directors of ARC. It's a big deal. We look quite calm and everything, but it's a big deal for us. We're composed, you know. But it's a big deal for us to have them here. So when they say something, we're like, what are they thinking? What are they seeing? What are they feeling? And Pastor Dino said yesterday in the car, he said, I can sense the heart of ARC here. And I was like, I think we're doing it right. Well done, everyone. It's all about friendships. It's all about relationships. It's all about doing ministry together. It's all about being better together. There's over 110 completely different churches that's here. And I think amazing people just attract other amazing people. Because every single person I speak to, you're just absolutely awesome. And it's a blessing to get to know you better. But back to our panel, Dion.
Morning everyone.
How many teenagers was at youth on Friday night?
We had 320 young people.
That's brilliant. That's
on Friday night.
brilliant.
It's fun.
Post-COVID, that's doing well. How has reaching teenagers changed since COVID?
Wow, it's changed us. I think COVID changed us. It was a privilege to grow. It was an opportunity to grow and really trust God for amazing things, and the opportunities were there. But when I think about COVID, I still get the heebie-jeebies because trying to do live stream and trying to, you know, like...
And we have two teenagers, and they're in Dion's youth, and we're like giving you feedback from them. It was so stressful.
Yeah, it was. And you had to learn to do things, but I think one of the biggest things is we grew and we learned a valuable lesson that the way we're doing youth and the way we're trying to do youth wasn't supposed to be this. We had a great program, and you know, the effort we put into that, but the importance of small group came back. The importance of community. You know, an event attracts people, but it's community that keeps them there. And so we learned that during COVID, and so we changed our focus. In fact, when we came back from COVID, all we did was small group every single Friday, invited them. But we realized that young people do not want to be on a screen for that. They want to be with each other, especially in our context in Georgia. I don't know about yours, but for us, that was a big, big deal. And they were struggling. They were struggling with pornography. You know, that stuff like that wasn't stuff that they went looking for. That it was sent to them. Struggling with mental illnesses, you know, so we really wanted to find a way to support them, and so small group was one of our main things. And Paul, on a practical way, for small groups, Pastor Paul and I, we always talk about ratios. And, you know, he always asks me when he sees me, you know, how's our small group leaders doing? How they doing? What's our ratios? And what that meant was, how many leaders do we have to teenagers? And so that's become a big focus for us. We're not where we want to be, but it remains a focus. We want to have one small group leader to every 7 teenagers. And so that remains a focus. That's what we implemented. And that's been the growth. So we want to be healthy. We don't just want to grow. We want to be a healthy, small, youth group. And so, yeah.
That's really good. You mentioned pornography. Mads, who shared an excellent session here shared with me recently that the fastest growing addiction in the world is pornography. And it's growing amongst 12-year-olds and 17-year-olds, the fastest. Girls and boys alike. It's shocking. And it's scary. So our youth ministries are really amazing.
Marinette, can I say it's actually heartbreaking. The stats have completely changed, and it's not. It's heartbreaking. So we become more intentional about praying together. Our leaders, our small group leaders, our volunteers, making sure that people are on. Someone's getting prayed for. Intentionally. I think when we pray more for people, we love them more. It's easy to love them and reach out to them, and so. So God's been very kind to us.
Someone asked me this morning about our 2 teenage boys and some practical tips that we apply to make sure they keep loving Jesus. And having a healthy youth ministry has been a game changer for us because they did everything I told them to do until they turned 12. Then I needed someone else to help. And you've been outstanding. Do you know our youth pastor is turning 50 soon? Isn't that amazing? He's turning 50 soon, and he's young at heart. He's got the vibe. Do you know how much it means to a parent? When a parent drops their 13-year-old little girl at youth for the first time, and they see a responsible father that's in charge of a lot of hundreds of teenagers, it makes a big difference. I don't think you have any idea how much you appreciate it and valued by not just us, but our whole community. Thank you so much, Dion.
And thank you to them, because it's a team game. It's a team thing. It's a team thing. And Nathan and Seth, they are not afraid to share their opinions with me. And I love that. And Tristan, their son, so it's amazing.
There's dynamics when you have your family in church. Like, our kids will come to us and say, they did this at youth, they did this. I'm like, please go tell Dion, don't tell me. It's like, I can't go tell Dion. So much fun. Dion, how do we as pastors and leaders respond to shifts and trends in the youth culture?
I would encourage us not to be scared of it. Not to be scared. And sometimes we are because we don't understand the shifts and the trends. But the gospel is true for every generation.
Yeah.
It's relevant. It's the most relevant thing that we could share. And so that should never change. The word is priority. And I love our value of relevance that we get to exercise week in and week out, that the gospel's not compromised, but we can change the way we share it with people. I love that Jesus didn't say, follow me and I'll make you carpenters of men. He said, I'll make you fishers of men. He was relevant to what they were doing. And so for us, relevance is a big, big deal. And I want to encourage you, don't be scared of the shifts. But also invite younger people to tell you what's going on. Because most of the time, I don't understand what's happening. They're using language that I don't understand. And when they break it down for me, I'm like, oh, that's what you're talking about. And it helps you being relevant. So I would encourage you to invite younger people to talk in and plan with you and dream with you. So, yeah.
Really, really good. Thank you so much, Dion. And Natasha, I didn't forget about you.
I'm still here.
Natasha, you help us to oversee, and you're in the oversight of a variety of different ministries and projects. You oversee finances for Hope Church, for Zambia, for ARC. You oversee volunteers. You oversee HR for everything. You oversee volunteers. Okay, I don't know what you not do, but how do you not drop balls? Because I haven't seen you drop a ball yet.
Again, I'm going to take us back to the value of team. There is not a chance that I could do everything by myself. And I'm so grateful that we have an amazing team. Some of the people that are reporting into me are here today. Helene can wave there at the back. She is our management accountant. And then Clifford can also wave. He is our communities pastor. And they are incredible. They have people reporting into them as well. So there's a lot happening in the details, but there's not a chance that I would be able to be in the details. So what I've learned from Pastor Paul and Marinette is that we need to be on it and not in it. We have to have a bird's eye view of what's happening around us. And if I was in everything, there was no ways I would be able to do what I'm doing. I love the acronym TEAM stands for Together We Achieve More. As I read a quote yesterday with John Maxwell, and he said, "It takes a team to move forward and to do anything of lasting value." We can't do life by ourselves. We are better together. I love it. And then another thing I've learned through the years of being at Hope Church is to build away from ourselves. We must not do everything. We equip others to do the job. So we would definitely train people. In the beginning, we might have to be more hands-on to show people. They watch what we do, and eventually we can leave them. I can ask Killian to do something, and I know it's going to be done. I don't have to check on her. She'll actually give me feedback, and which is great because that's our culture. I can give Clifford an instruction or something and ask, let's implement this on the Sunday services, and he'll do it. I know there's confidence that we have in our team that they'll do it, and our culture is strong. So we measure by our culture and our values and our vision, and everyone on our team has a strong culture and vision.
Very good. And you mentioned delegating. Delegation is so important. We can't lead if we can't delegate. But we have to delegate to the right people, and we need to delegate to people that's been equipped. Michael, he's 20. He's our assistant for ARC. We have a great future that we see for him as a leader.
Yeah.
But 2 nights ago, he said, my brain just feels tired. And I'm learning so much. I'm like, we take a bit of a break and we rest, but we carry on. There's greatness in you. We see him in an executive role one day, but at the moment, we need to be patient. I'm patient, Michael. You're awesome, but we know what's inside of you. A great tool is StrengthsFinder. It's a secular personality test that you can do. It's by Gallup. Who's done that before? Like a lot of us in this room. Can't recommend it enough. We do that with our staff teams, and then you can see who's got what strengths. And it's really, there's so many others like the Enneagram and the DISC profile, very helpful. Natasha, as head of HR, you often need to give people feedback. Feedback is a big deal, so we have to tell people that they need to improve. You often even need to give written warnings. I know Natasha's given 2 written warnings the last year to people that simply consistently did not do what we asked them to do. And that's hard, but our role is to build people. So even when we give people feedback and we give them written warnings, we love them and we build them. How do you do that? How do you still make people feel loved, even though you're telling them you need to sign this warning?
Yeah, first of all, we are a family at Hope Church. Our team we're not just colleagues that work together, we're a family. And when you have a family, you love them and you care for them. Sometimes my child might do something that is out of line. If I didn't love them, I would just leave them and let them keep doing the same thing. But if I love them and I care for them, I'm going to say, look here, when you do this, this is not good. This is not helping us at all. But we also have a culture of feedback. So this is not a new thing. We know we're going to give feedback so that we can grow and improve all the time. So we don't wait for once a year performance appraisals. We don't wait for maybe twice a year. We consistently, sometimes feedback is immediately. We have to give it right now. Sometimes we also we call it a 30 by 30. So for 30 minutes, every 30 days, we give feedback where we get to say, keep doing this. What is that?
Stop doing this.
Thank you.
Start doing this. Watch out for this.
Yes. Well, yeah, so we keep and that's the kind of feedback. So we make notes throughout the month, and we don't just focus on the negative. So it's so important to see what people are doing well. So we have change in our pocket. So we can't just give people negative feedback. If we see and notice someone doing something well, we need to say, well done, and acknowledge what they've done. By the time we get to tell them, look here, this is a little bit out of line. It's a lot easier for them to receive the feedback. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't respond well to feedback. And that is when we recently had to give written warnings. And it's never easy. It's not something I find joy in, to give someone a written warning. But if it's for their benefit. In the end of the day, hopefully, if they decide not to work there anymore, hopefully where they go, they will remember, and maybe at the next organization they'll do better.
Thank you, Natasha. Feedback is so important because people want to know if they're on track, if they're moving in the right direction. You will always know what I'm thinking or where you're standing because I'll tell you. Yeah. And we have a culture of feedback. It makes it easier because we consistently talk about, hey, feedback is the breakfast of champions. We give you feedback because we see greatness in you. If we didn't care, we wouldn't give you feedback. Agnesha, back to Kids Church.
Yes.
What would you say are 3 things that a parent looks for when they check in or sign in their child at Kids Church, maybe for the first time?
3 things that parents look for, consciously or subconsciously, is clean. Is it a clean place, or are they going to get germs, my child? Is it safe? Is my child going to be able to run out? Is there dangerous objects around? And capable volunteers. We're not going to give a baby to a 7-year-old to look after. So it's clean, safe, and capable volunteers.
Very good. Agnesha is always short when she speaks.
I am.
It's few words. You're amazing. Good teacher. I'm sure the children appreciate you. Natasha, you're a great support to myself and Paul. What tips can you give to anyone in the room who is in a support role to their senior pastors, just to support them better, or maybe you support a leader you report into?
First of all, I really love you and Paul, and it's an absolute privilege to work for you. So if I can say, when you have a leader, make sure that you love them.
I actually feel loved by Natasha.
Yes.
I know, and Paul,
Yeah.
I know, she's seen Paul and I argue full on. And she just stood there. And afterwards I had to apologize, but I could see she still loves me. Although I had to confess my sins and say I was actually wrong, you know. I should not have spoken to Paul like this in front of you. And she didn't judge me. It means the world to me to know I can actually be myself in front of Natasha. Not in front of everyone, I would never. But sometimes it happens, and thank you.
And on that note, I just want to give honor to Rain as well. Rain is executive assistant to Pastor Donovan and Shelley.
She's amazing.
I've watched her, and how she serves Pastor Donovan and Shelley is incredible. And we're learning from you as well, you know, just how you are serving them and how everything is done here with excellence. She's actually done quite a lot of behind the scenes organizing here as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rain.
Yeah. So how do we make lives easier for our leaders? We need to look for opportunities. I watch Paul and Marinette, and I look for opportunities to make their lives easier. If they ask me to do something, I respond immediately.
Thank you.
I don't want them to wait or wonder, did Natasha read my message? You know, like I want them to feel valued. And
Honestly, that's powerful.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
So if she sends a message or Paul sends me a message, I'm going to make sure I do it, and I'm going to give them feedback. That, for me, is showing them honor and love. I think it is so important to also build their platform. So often I get the opportunity to tell somebody they get an increase, but I didn't make that decision. And I get to say, Paul and Marinette has given you an increase. Pastor Paul and Pastor Marinette has given you a gift. Or when we go, one of our staff team is in the hospital. The card is not from Natasha. It is Pastor Paul and Pastor Marinette.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's always looking for opportunities to build their platform. We always speak well of them. So no matter what conversations, and Marinette mentioned, I've heard them, I've never told anyone of an argument or anything. Nobody, not even Mona years, which is my husband. I don't talk bad about them ever. We always speak well of our leaders. It is very important.
I completely feel Natasha's got our back. And honestly, if there's one thing your senior leaders need is to know that you've got their back.
Yeah.
And tell them that you've got their back. And make sure that they know. Mean what you say. It is very valuable.
I actually forgot to mention something when responding to, on my WhatsApps, I've pinned their conversations. They're right on top of priority, so I won't miss a message from them. So it's very important.
Now I know how you do it.
That's how it is. And then we must have a can-do attitude. Often things, it can feel like overwhelming. Oh, how are we going to do this? But we mustn't respond, no, it can't be done. Let's see. Okay, I don't know the answer right now, but let's see. I'm sure we can find a way to win. So that's to help serve our leaders. Because the ideas don't just come, but they hear from God. They hear which direction God wants us to take the church, and let's help them as much as we can. And we need to be a friend to them as well as pray for our leaders. The most important thing that we can do is continuously pray for our leaders.
Brilliant, Natasha. Thank you so much. Something I say to everyone on our staff team is, hey, I need more friends. I want to be friends. But I'm also your pastor and I'm also your boss. So here's the invitation to friendship, real friendship, where we laugh together and do life together, but the ball's in your court. Yeah. Because I am going to call you to standards. I am going to give you feedback. I'm going to tell you what to do. Keep your heart soft. I loved Zintu's session, the first session of 7 in 7 yesterday. Keep your heart soft. And we all actually go to our workplace, our churches, and we spend so much time there. I want to spend it with people that I enjoy, where we have some chemistry and we can laugh together, but still achieve a lot together. So thank you so much to all of you and everybody else here from Hope Church. You're outstanding. One more question, and I'll ask you, Dion. As a worship leader, what do you do to make sure you stay prepared, spiritually prepared?
Shout out to the worship team. Yeah, Nastasha and Daryl. Wow, what an incredible team. It's been amazing to be a part of that. I think intimacy with God, you can't replace it. And intimacy is not like a small shit thing, but it's just being honest with God, with who we are and our insecurities and the dreams that we have and what we want to see happen. And worship is such a powerful, or music, or worship as music is such a emotive tool that we have to be right with God. And so I think intimacy with God first, and then being right with people on the team, my wife, my kids. they see the real us, and just being right with them, keeping short accounts. And I just know, I don't know about you, but like when we step into these big moments, often things will happen in the family that as a man you have responsibility, and just to stay right and be honest about things, staying right. And then I've learned that the stage is an incredible tool to lead worship and lead people. But it can be a trap and dangerous. And I think maybe it's just like for me as a musician, sometimes.
I think you can say that again.
Yeah. The stage can be a massive trap. And so just fight off the desire to have stage. It gets in the way. It gets in the way of real relationship. It's a barrier between people. And but then as a team, for us as a team to work hard and prepare, I've been blown away by how this team here is so prepared. I love that. I've learned like we preparing and planning brings anointing. And so being that, but then not only preparing, but being united. And Marinette sent me this verse when I first started, and I read this verse periodically. It's in 2 Chronicles 5. It says, let me find this.
That's why I always have paper notes. Who else loves paper notes? I see people up here. I see my husband like, I'm like, that's why I have everything on paper. I'm so scared something goes wrong. But
I made note of the verse.
did you get it? While you look for that, I can always speak. But what I wanted to say about Dion that is absolutely outstanding is, so he will lead worship. We have 3 morning services where he leads worship, and then we have 1 evening service. In between services, he immediately is off the stage talking to different people. He engages with different people. I actually always like, oh goodness, and I feel convicted, and because I'm getting my mind ready for the next service or whatever, and I'll be like, there's Dion talking to people that's here today, and I go and also start greeting people. That is so powerful, and obviously the rest of the worship team does what Dion does. So our whole worship team in between services are connecting with new people, greeting them, and they've already had eye contact. They actually have an open door into people's lives.
For some reason, I can't find it, but I know exactly what it says.
Quote it.
Is that okay? Yeah. Just on that, Marinette, I think one of the things that helped me a lot with the stage is I was a volunteer leader on a car park team. Shout out to the car park team. And I love that because you could meet the families that are coming in. You see the real people. Come. Like all the real stuff. And the fathers and the uncles and the aunts and the opas and the uncles. Like it was amazing because when you step on stage to lead worship, you're not singing a song, but you're leading these families. You want to see them find hope and freedom and peace and joy and just value. And so that was a big, but the verse that Marinette sent to me was about how the singers and the players are in one accord. They were united. And then the musicians joined, the trumpeters. And as they played in one accord, that there was a cloud, the presence of God. And that's the desire, really. Like people coming into church, you want them to experience the presence of God because that's what changes us from the inside out. And so I hold on to that for our team. When we pray together, I remind them of that. Listen, hey, we're not just playing songs. We're not just singing these songs. But we want people to be in the presence of God. We want them to leave stronger and filled with more hope.
Brilliant. Absolutely excellent. Well, thank you so much, everyone. You're amazing. Let's give them a hand.